Dipped my knees, didn't I? We've all seen that guy. Maybe we've been that guy where the knees drop. And as a result of those knees dropping, you think that using your legs and your body is a bad thing. So you try and freeze them instead. Now, this video, I'm going to tell you actually what your legs and hips should be doing on short game shots. Everything from this short one here to the back flag should be very similar, just a smaller version of what's required to hit the ball far enough. But I'm not going into too much detail now. Let's get on with the video. Don't forget, if you don't subscribe already, please do so. Leave a comment below, hit a like, help out the channel. So I think it's a pretty poor idea to try and reduce the leg action in this swing, and I'm going to justify why I say that. Let's look at the sequence of the swing first of all. The short game sequence in the swing is very, very similar to the full swing, as in everything starts from the ground up. If I start to shut down my lower body in order to keep those knees quiet and the hips quiet, I disrupt the sequence. Now, you measure enough good players, you will see that the sequence is very, very similar, just much, much tighter. Okay, so shutting this down means the chest has to do a lot more work, and typically I find that steepens players up a little bit too much, and they require more arm speed, whether it's swinging the arms across the body or it's pulling and pushing. One or the other is try and get the speed on the golf ball. So the legs need to do something if you want to perform as well as you can or hit balls like the best players in the world do. And everything starts from the ground up. So I like to focus on making sure the hips and chest turn at a very similar speed. Now, full swing, there would be some separation, right? You get to the top, the hips would go early, the chest would lag back a little bit, and then it would snap back in line with the hips. Ultimately, probably even overtaking them. We don't want that in the short game. We're not looking for extra power. So having little separation between hips and chest is a good thing. Now, in order to move the hips well, you need to move the knees well. You can't turn the hips correctly, tilt them correctly without moving the knees. So we've got to unfreeze those knees. Now, you will associate the really poor chippers with the old knee dip, right? That's the upper body going, the arms going, the club not getting to the ground, got to get it down there somehow, and the knees go and you see the club chase down the line. Okay, so the knees I've demonstrated there are dead opposite to what I'm looking for when I get people to start pitch and chip the ball. You can put some steepness in the backswing. All right, so you can pretty much guarantee if you were to move your head forwards and downwards a little bit, or you were to hinge the club more narrowly, or you were to go on a more vertical plane, all of these things, mix any of them, you start to put some steepness into the swing. Now, if you put enough steepness into the swing at the right point, you can then use the knees to reduce that steepness, right? So I can get into a transition, I could be narrow, I could be forwards, whatever it wants to be. It doesn't really matter, the choices, as long as you build some steepness in there. From there I can transition and keep that in there and then start using my knees to push up and away from the ground. So the legs will start to straighten out to some degree. And here's what I want you to do. Don't really want pressure into the heel. You find measure players typically goes into the middle of the foot, maybe the ball, which helps with that kind of little bit of verticalness on the backswing. I think I just made a word up. And from there, there'll be a pressure shift further forwards, right? So that right knee is going to start to kick in towards the left. It's not going to go towards the camera and towards you, it's going to go in towards my left knee. And from there, it's going to continue towards target, and it's going to start to rotate towards the target and get closer to my left knee. So you see from this camera, if I do the same thing now, I'll go in to transition, press with my left side a little bit more, then the right knee moves alongside the left and it starts to face this camera. Again, you'll see my hips are now fully rotated. A little bit of straightening is happening with the left knee, and my belt's starting to rise a little bit. So right knee, it can kick in, move alongside and up, and that takes care of the pelvis movement. So you don't have to think about your hips. You control the hips with your knees. Now, timing and rhythm wise, it's very, very helpful because the knees don't move quickly. If you're trying to think about something up here, inevitably it's going to move faster. These are pretty slow moving objects and they should move continuously. There's a rhythm to it. You might see the little left toe tapping takeaway sometimes. That's kind of player setting the rhythm, setting a bit of pressure into the right foot. And then as they get towards the top, that toe starts to go down again, and then the knees take over. It becomes a continuous movement of that right knee towards the left and towards target. And that sets the pace and tempo of the swing. The better job you can do with your knees, the better your hips will move, the better your chest will move. The better all those segments move, the less work you need to do with your arms. You won't have to go searching for the ground. Okay, so to recap, a little bit of steepness in the backswing is going to help you out a little bit. Not essential. You could be very wide, you could be very shallow. You'll just have to work the pivot and the knees that little bit harder, a little bit further forwards to get your ground contact correct. Okay, let's hit a few, that's enough talking. Let's just show you what I mean. So we've got a different range of shots. So we'll go middle flag. Okay, pitch right by it, just carried a little bit too far. Let's go longer flag on the left. Try and pitch this just to the right of it. Okay, pretty good. Middle flag one more time. Just working the knees. See, I'm very light on my feet. See them moving around. I'm not planted and stationary. I'm allowing myself a little bit of freedom, a little bit of movement. Okay, pretty good. So I've hit to the two further flags, but what about the short one? How am I going to use my knees in the same way? My intent's going to be the same. Now, my knee might not get all the way alongside my left, but it's going to get pretty close. Okay, so I'm going to do everything the same. I could add some loft to the club, slow the ball down, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to control the knees. A little rehearsal. Move the knees alongside each other. Right heel coming up, not a problem. Has to for the knee to get there. So see, still finishing, knees alongside each other. Might not be quite as rotated, but still a lot more than maybe you think. Let's go one more time, little softy. No problem. So I'm going to carry this just on the edge. It probably won't reach the hole this time. I'm just going to take even more speed off it, just on the join of the green I'm looking for. Just going to try and demonstrate that if I'm quiet with my arms, and I'm quiet with my chest, I can still carry it a small distance and still use my legs properly. Just hit it a little bit too far, carried 2 feet too far, but pretty good. Strike was great. So still rotated, heels up, right knee's kicked alongside the left. Exactly what I'm looking for. That's all there is to it. I think it's really a case of making sure that you do use the knees, you don't try and freeze them, because that's going to help you to shift your pressure in the right direction. It's going to help with the flow of your swing. It's going to disrupt everything that I spoke about at the beginning. You just need to learn to use them in the correct way. Okay, your knees shouldn't be a response to something else that's poor. They should be driving the motion, controlling the motion. So let's hold one out, then I can wrap the video. It's a pretty good try, I'll take it. Okay, if you enjoyed it, don't forget, leave a comment below, hit a like, subscribe to the channel.